Hello and welcome to another edition of the panel's Premier League predictions with myself, Matthew Christ, and four-time Premier League winner, Manchester United and Celtic legend, Brian McClair. Brian, we've only just done the FA Cup games. We've wrapped that up, and then a matter of days later, we're back to the Premier League games again. Are you one of these that would advocate for a winter break, or are you more the merrier when it comes to football?
Well, I mean, I think as a player, I would have very much advocated a winter break, particularly for the games around about Christmas period. Never really bothered so much about the new year. The problem is how to fit these games in, Matthew. You know, that they've already decided that there are no replays in the FA Cup. That's why we saw a number of games going to extra time and penalties over the weekend. So yeah, I think there is it would be good and certainly beneficial for everybody involved, apart from the supporters, of course. We very much welcome games to watch, particularly around about the Christmas period, Boxing Day being the main one. But as I say, I don't see how you're going to fit them in. Something as they get by. Does the season start earlier? Does it finish later? And there's all sorts of murmurings about how little now particularly the players at the higher level of the game with internationals, also with a number of games at that level that have very much increased since over the last probably 10 years. So I'm all for player welfare, yes, but it's a matter of perhaps you'd have to sacrifice a bit of time in the summer.
Yeah,
I mean, they should always get 4 weeks off in the summer, not necessarily for physical reasons, but I think to recover mentally, it takes 4 weeks.
Yeah, and of course we'd have nothing else to do, would we, if there was a winter break? So we may as well crack on. It's match week.
We'd have to find another sport to watch, I think.
We would have to watch another sport to watch. Yeah, let's think of that. Match week 21 we've got coming up over 3 days in this midweek raft of games. Starts on Tuesday night, and it's Brentford versus Manchester City.
Well, I mean, it's kind of strange to be saying that City have won the last two Premier League games. You know, we wouldn't have thought at the beginning of the season we'd be saying anything like that. Although I think they would have been given a particular boost. Although I think the game, the team will change again after the side that played ever so well against Salford at the weekend, scoring 8 goals with still several minutes to go, which was a very good performance by the players that Guardiola picked. And I suppose one of the other pieces of information, newsworthy, is that Walker has asked for an opportunity to explore a move away from City. At the moment, there's not so many details about why that might be the case. But the suggestion is he fancies playing abroad for the number of years he has left in the game. He's been a wonderful and a very good player for Manchester City, and I think they'll certainly miss him. Brentford won 6 of their first 7 games at the G-Tech, where lots of goals get scored, but they've lost the last 2. But Brian Bueno is in terrific form for them, particularly at home. Brentford 1, Manchester City 3.
Oh, the City revival is set to continue then, according to you, which we know doesn't always ask any Evertonian. So, Chelsea, Bournemouth.
Well, Chelsea, after such a long period of success in the first half of the title of the Premier League, have had surprisingly no wins in the last 4. But in Cole Palmer, they have a player who has created more chances than any other player in the Premier League this season so far. 57, would you believe? Bournemouth won 3 of their first Premier League games at Stamford Bridge, but have lost the last 2. Having said that, they're on a good unbeaten run. They haven't lost in the last 8 Premier League games, but I think they'll lose this one. Chelsea 3, Bournemouth 1.
Okay, another 3-1, and it's, I'm just checking to see, it's the first London derby of this midweek raft of games. It's West Ham versus Fulham.
Well, Fulham are unbeaten in their last 10 London derbies, winning 5 and drawing 5. West Ham have a new head coach or manager. I don't know exactly what they've decided to be called. And Graham Potter, who is not managed since his difficult period with another London club, who I've just mentioned. An FA Cup defeat to Villa after scoring an early goal. I'm sure that Graham will be looking forward to the first fixture at home. But London, they're winless in 5 London derbies and losing the last 2, 4-1 and 5-2. No London team has lost 3 derbies in a row and conceded 4 or more goals. And I don't think that's going to happen in this fixture. West Ham won, Fulham won.
Yes. Like to see, sitting on the fence, as always. Now, here's a game where you could be accused of wanting to sit on the fence because it's a fascinating encounter for neutrals. It's Nottingham Forest, a team who you tipped, I think, to challenge for the title a few months ago, hosting Liverpool, who are top of the table.
Well, I mean, until a 1-0 win last season, Liverpool had gone 13 games without a win at the City Ground. But Liverpool are the most successful team away. They're unbeaten in 9. They have 7 wins and 2 draws. And with 16 of Salah's 18 league goals have come in the second half. And if Forest win, it'll be the first league double they've done over Liverpool since 1962-63 season. I'm not predicting that. Forest 1, Liverpool 2.
Okay, well, that interests me because I have mocked you over the weeks with this prediction for Forest to do well, but you can't write them off. They're joint second in the table. Yeah, I mean, certainly going for a European Champions League place, if nothing else, I'd have thought.
Yeah, the confidence is a wonderful thing in football, and they have confidence going for them. They have the momentum going for them. I just think that Liverpool will just have too much for them. Forest don't score a lot of goals, don't concede a lot of goals. But I think Liverpool have scored at least 2 in every away game that they've had this season. So they're very much a threat. I just have this feeling that Liverpool will win the game narrowly.
Okay, well, who would argue with that? That brings us on to Wednesday night's games. We've got several that kick off at 7:30 and then the big one at 8 o'clock. So the first one we're going to look at is Everton against Aston Villa.
Well, I was surprised that Everton decided to make a change of head coach. And they've brought back David Moyes after a long period away. I think that David has proven to be a very, very good Everton manager, and hopefully he can bring some stability and maintain their Premier League status going into the end of the season and next season, whether they're going to be going into a new stadium. Moyes is brilliant at coaching defenders, but it's not really a priority. Everton need to score goals. They're winless in the last 11 Premier League games against Villa. They've lost 8 times and drew the other 3. And as I mentioned, only Southampton have scored fewer goals than Everton. But Villa have lost their last 5 away Premier League games, conceding at least 2 in each one of those. Everton won, Villa won.
Okay. And you were working at United when David took over there from Alex Ferguson. Could you, obviously famously didn't work out from Old Trafford, but a manager that still gains a lot of respect in among Premier League clubs, I think.
Well, yeah, because he's got a good pedigree both at Everton and at West Ham. It didn't. I mean, if you look at it now with the things that have happened in that period, from when David Moyes was sacked from Manchester United, and you look what's happened, there's a very good and strong argument that he wasn't given enough time compared to some of the other people who have been allowed to run the football side of the game. So it's difficult really to really make a judgment on that, because maybe, as I say, wasn't given enough time. Very good at Everton, good Premier League manager, has got good understanding what he wants. But as I say, Everton have really struggled this year with regards to scoring goals.
Okay, and next up, it's Leicester versus Crystal Palace.
Well, Palace are unbeaten in their last 5 away games, won 2 and drawn 3. Only twice in their history have they managed to get 6 away wins in a row. Leicester have gained some confidence from the FA Cup tie at the weekend, but they have lost the last 5 Premier League games, albeit against some tough opposition. And in each of those games, they've conceded twice also, so there's a bit of a problem with defending. But I think that Leicester is going to get a point out of this game. Leicester 1, Palace 1.
Okay, another draw. And next up, it's Newcastle Wolves. Newcastle flying. I think 8 in a row, is it now?
Newcastle have won their last 5 and are looking to do the double over the Wolves, which will be the first time since 1905, 6th season. Don't know if Isaac will be fit after missing the FA Cup game at the weekend, but he has scored in the last 7 Premier League games, and he's looking to be the 4th Premier League player in the Premier League history to score in 8 or more successive games. Wolves have won just 2 of the last 16 Premier League games away from away games, and I think that's going to be 2 from 17. Newcastle 3, Wolves 0.
Okay, an understandable prediction there with the current form that both those teams are in. And yeah, we've reached the Wednesday night, the 8 o'clock game, a game a lot of people will be interested in, and it's the North London derby. Not just any old London derby, it's the North London derby. It's Arsenal hosting Tottenham.
Well, Spurs had a very much changed side that went to Tamworth, but that team that played there got pilloried on social media. Spurs eventually were in the tie after extra time, bringing on probably their main strikers who made a difference. But as we said before, it'd be a great disappointment for Tamworth for not taking their team to London to play Spurs in a replay. Spurs have won 1 of the last 31 trips to Arsenal, lost 18 and drawn 12 of those, and have conceded a goal in the last 25 away games in the Premier League. Arsenal are the only team in the Premier League this season not to lose at home, winning 6, drawing 3, and they've had no goals against in the last 4 games. I think that Spurs might sneak 1, but Arsenal to get 3.
3-1 Arsenal. Okay, so it's been seen as a pretty bad week for Arsenal after going out of the Cup to your old club United, but you see them bouncing back in this one against a fragile Tottenham team, really, to say the least.
I think Arsenal have got a similar problem to several teams. They're creating a lot of really good chances, and we mentioned this before Christmas, and we're not the only people to have said it, that they need a goal scorer. And I think that's the difference between Arsenal, Manchester City, who are not quite in the run. You've got Newcastle, who are there and thereabouts. You've got Forest, who've got somebody scoring goal, and at Liverpool, you've got several players scoring goals. So that no doubt they will be looking for someone, but they're always very cautious and try to find the right person, which is understandable. But if you watch the game, particularly against the 10-man United, take away the penalty miss, they had some great chances. That I know there was some good defending also, to give United credit, but we're very disappointed not to have converted one more of those chances they had. But I fancy them to score a few against Spurs, who have got a lot of first choice defenders missing. And as I said, their away form hasn't been the best, and certainly not been the best at Arsenal in recent times.
Okay, we're back with Thursday's games, 2 games on Thursday evening, and it's first up is Ipswich versus Brighton.
Well, Brighton have drawn their last 4 Premier League games, but with that they haven't had a win in 8. Ipswich will be buoyed by their first win at Portman Road in the last home fixture against Chelsea. And in the last 2 games, Ipswich have collected as many points and scored as many goals as they did in the previous 7, 4 points and 4 goals. Ipswich 1, Brighton 1.
Yeah, okay. Going for a few draws this round of fixtures, aren't you? And the aforementioned Manchester United brings up the final game of these midweek games, and they're at home to Southampton.
Well, Southampton are winless in their last 17 away games in the Premier League. Remarkably, this season, on average, if statistics have to be believed, Southampton take 53 passes per shots. Thought that was a wonderful thing to be able to see, you know. I just can really get my head around, you know, that on average, so clearly there's a few, there's fewer than that they've taken to get shot, but there's a lot more times than 53 passes.
Have you counted all these, Brian?
Of course, yeah, gone through all, got all the data directly from Southampton, you know, which is, the game's very much data driven by a lot of people, you know, but if you look at Southampton's possession, if you look at the number of touches they have, if you look at the number of passes they have, they're right up there, but shots at goal, not. And that's why they're where they are, and that's why they've scored the fewest amount of goals. United have lost their last 3 home games in the league, and the last time they lost more was in 1934 when they were in the second tier, when they lost 5. That's not going to happen again. United 4, Southampton 1.
Well, yeah, I can see why you're going with that prediction, but who knows with United? So unpredictable.
Well, they've had 2 consistent performances.
Yeah,
one at Liverpool and one at Arsenal.
Yeah, but as we know with United, you can play well.
Yes, as we know. Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'll stick my big head on the line.
Okay, well, United fans, like Everton fans, you know full well if United don't win, then you got Brian McClair to thank for it. So that brings us to the end of this midweek sports special version of Premier League predictions. We'll be back in just a couple of days with the weekend edition. Until then, give us your thoughts, your predictions, see if you agree with Brian, whether you've got any more nerdy facts than his one about Southampton passing the ball 53 times before they take a shot. And we'll see you again soon.
How rude.